WAEN FM Atlanta, broadcasting live from the Beat Break 87 FM studios, Beat Break 87 FM, and streaming on beatbreakradiofm.com.
What's up, ATL? Make sure that you check out the D Hill Radio Show every Saturday night and Sunday night at 7 p.m. on Beat Break 87 and beatbreakradiofm.com.
Who is she?
Who is this woman I keep hearing about?
Who is she? Who is she?
The radio diva herself.
Oh my God, are you talking about?
That can't be.
Oh, yes, it is, girl.
Wait a minute, that is her.
Yeah, that is her.
Oh my God.
D Hill, everybody.
I have to call somebody.
This is amazing.
I still can't believe it's her.
Can I get your autograph?
You ain't making me miss her show. Ain't nobody got time for that.
D Hill Radio Show with your host, D Hill.
Keep up the good job, man. You guys are doing a great job. I hope you blow up and become syndicated.
Call in at 404-355-8699 or 1-866-923-2860.
This is D Hill.
With your host, D Hill.
This is D Hill.
With your host, D Hill.
Now, here's your host, D Hill.
What's up, ATL? Thank you all for tuning in to the D Hill Radio Show here on Love 860 AM WAEC, where we come to you live every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. We're going to dedicate this entire show tonight to Mr. Shawty Lo. I've never met him before, but I've heard so many good things about him from everybody in the industry. So we're going to dedicate this whole entire show to him. And before I forget, y'all know how my mind is. November the 5th, we are having a, I don't want to call it a networking event, but I want to call it a rolling out the red carpet for all new radio stations between 3 and 5 years old. So if you have an internet radio station, blog talk radio station, even if you're on the AM and FM stations, please come to this event. It's going to be at Backstage Lounge on Old National Highway, or either some people say Godby. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. It's a free event, and it is a day party. So make sure that you come join us. And even some of those that have been in radio for 10 to 20 years, come out and congratulate the ones that just starting out in radio. They may have some questions for you. So just come out and, network. Get to meet your, I want to call it brothers and sisters in radio. That's what I like to call it. All right, so we got a very special guest with us today, Mr. Teddy Austin. About time you come to the D Hill Radio Show. I've been trying to get you on here for so long.
Well, thank you, D Hill. It's great to be here. Finally, I have arrived.
I know, finally.
Well, you don't arrive in the entertainment industry until you invited to the D Hill Show.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me here.
Oh, sure.
You and the staff here at Love 860 WAEC Radio. You guys are doing a great job out in the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We just want to let you guys know how much we appreciate you and the staff here, and we just hope and pray that you guys continue the great work that you're doing in the community.
Yeah. Usually what I do is I take breaks during my interviews, and then we would pause around 7:30 and go to another subject. But I had to give you a whole hour because you've done so much. Not only, you're doing long modifications now, but just in the music industry itself, you has done so much. So that's why we decided to make sure that we give you a whole hour.
Well, thank you very much. I'm privileged to be here. And, yes, I've been in the entertainment industry for years. Worked with some of the greatest artists in the world. And
you started out with Warner Brothers for about 20 years.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Straight 20 years with Warner Brothers.
Wow.
In fact, I started in the warehouse.
Okay. Are you serious?
I'm serious as I can be. Everybody can't start at the top.
Okay, you're right about that.
Somebody got to get it started.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And I was fortunate enough. The music industry was, at least the Warner Brothers part of the music industry, was really beginning to grow at the time.
Okay.
So basically, we had a company off of Fulton Industrial Boulevard. There was 3 record companies combined.
Okay.
It was called WEA. Warner Brothers for W, E for Electra, and A for Atlantic. Warner Electric Atlantic. And I was fortunate enough to get a job in the warehouse there.
Okay.
And it was very exciting because I was only 18 years old at the time. And getting a job at a major music distributor, and you walk in this big warehouse and you got 50,000 titles of all sort of artists, such as country and western, rock and roll, R&B, alternative. The music industry was really beginning to grow at the time. After about a year and a half in the warehouse, I was promoted to the mailroom.
Okay.
And I'm like, woo, man, I'm the man now.
Yeah.
I am the man. Basically, and it was a great responsibility in the warehouse. I mean, in the mailroom, because I had to determine what radio stations got what music.
Okay.
You know, because prior to me getting there, they were just sending out records randomly.
Right.
You know, if I'm a country and western station, why do I need black records?
Yeah.
If I'm a black radio station, why do I need country and western records?
Okay.
So I had to identify each radio station for the kind of music that they were playing or what their format was, and just kind of organize it.
Okay. And you did that after 2 years. When you first started there, it only took you 2 years to get in that position.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yes, from the mailroom, and then during around that time, Warner Brothers Records was known as a rock and roll record label.
Okay.
And they were just beginning to get into black music.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough at the time to be there. They heard a lot about me, about my energy, my tenacity. They knew I was going places, but they just didn't know when and where. So at the time, Warner's was expanding their black music department. They had very few black artists.
Okay.
So I had an opportunity to join the label. They had two positions open, one in Miami, one in North Carolina. They said, Teddy, which state would you rather go, Miami or Charlotte, North Carolina?
Okay.
Of course, I said Miami. They said, okay, we're going to send you to Charlotte.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, because, you know, I really appreciated that because Miami was a little fast then.
Okay.
And I'm a 21-year-old kid, you know.
It would have been too much for you.
Yeah, a little too much too soon. So
And
they
I think
put me
you
in the
would
right
enjoy it.
place.
I enjoy Miami every time I go. So.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite places, but it wasn't the time for me then. So, but North Carolina, Charlotte was a great market because we really started to grow the market. The radio stations there never had a representative to represent the radio stations there.
Okay.
Because in North and South Carolina, there's more radio stations in those two states than there are in the entire United States.
Wow. Never knew that.
Yes.
So was Motown around also?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. And was it like a competition?
Well,
type thing?
anything you do is you're going to be competitive.
Okay.
If you're going to, if you're going to be successful. But Motown set the standard for black music.
Yeah, they did.
So if you're going to be a record label and not have black music, then what are you doing here? Because you have to diversify as much as you can. Not only do you have to have rock and roll, you got to have country, you got to have R&B, and later down the road we realized that we had to enter the hip-hop world too.
Okay.
Because that was growing fast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's, do you think that hip-hop is here to stay?
Oh, they said that 20 years ago.
Really?
Okay. That's true.
And yeah, it looks where hip-hop
Yeah.
is now. Hip-hop is the format pretty much for mainstream radio stations.
Okay. The reason I ask, because it's listening to the music that they had in the 80s and the music that they have now. It's like now you really can't even understand what these artists are even saying.
Right. Well, somebody understands what they're saying, because the music is selling like crazy,
Yeah, that's true.
But most of the time, we are a generation or two apart.
Okay.
Where we love, the Isley Brothers and the Ohio Players, Ashford and Simpson, Prince, all of those great artists that we grew up with. We still love those artists.
Okay.
But at the same time, there's always going to be change, whether it's in music, whether it's in your life, it doesn't matter. But you have to stay with the trend, because when hip-hop really started to become popular in the music industry, Warner Brothers was on top in the R&B area.
Okay.
When we were working artists such as Prince, Sheila E., Morris Day and the Time, artists like Shaka Khan, Karen White, Rose Royce, Frankie Beverly, Al B. Shore, George Benson, and so on.
Okay.
We were great. We were number one in that area, but we were missing a beat because we didn't have any hip-hop music.
Okay.
So if you wanted to compete, you had to diversify as much as you possibly could. So, of course, Ice-T was our first hip-hop artist.
Okay.
And music was very controversial at the time. So.
I remember Ice-T growing up. Yeah, definitely.
Lord.
He was a little raw.
Yeah, man. Some of them lyrics he had, I'm like, this is what we're getting into? But we also formed a partnership with a label called Cold Chillin'.
Okay.
They were already in the hip-hop industry. So we formed a relationship and a partnership with them. They brought us Biz Markie, Marley Marl, Big Daddy Kane.
Okay.
They brought us artists like that. So that gave us street credibility in hip-hop for us to continue our journey.
Okay. And you got promotion for Man of the Year 5 times.
Yes.
That's a very great accomplishment.
Wow. I'm the only person that ever achieved that accomplishment.
That's good. And for you to be a brother, also, I applaud you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned some of the people that I don't want to say work with, I want to say made famous.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, Mark, do you want to call out some of the names that people he done made famous?
Sure.
So everybody
This
get y'all
young
pencil
man.
and paper ready. It's a long list. Those names.
The names goes as follows, anywhere from Teddy Austin. He helped launch or promote marketing campaigns and artist development for several different artists on Warner Brothers record label, including Ashford and Simpson, Bob Marley, Prince, Morris Day, The Time, Sheila E., Norma Jean Wright, Shaka Khan, Karen White, Rose Royce, Jasmine Guy, Frankie Beverly, Al B. Shore, George Benson, Al Jarreau, David Sanborn, Bob James, Miles Davis. Oh, wow. And the list goes on from Bootsy Collins, the Funkadelics, Tevin Campbell, Lennox Starr, Patty Austin. It's a who's who.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting you put it like that, who's who, because we didn't sign any of those artists. We signed those artists unestablished.
Okay.
So at some point, nobody knew who they were.
Right.
We didn't go to different record labels and say, well, oh, wow, there's Earth, Wind & Fire over there. When their contract ends, we're going to get them. We're going to get them the best contract. We didn't do that. We wanted to develop our own artists.
Okay.
So just to give you an example, Ashford and Simpson was known as great songwriters,
Right.
Okay.
but not singers.
Okay.
Okay? So we signed Ashford and Simpson, and they become one of the most successful artists out there.
Oh, yes, definitely.
We signed Shaka Khan, but she wasn't a solo artist. She was with a group called Rufus and Shaka Khan.
Okay, I
So it was
remember
time for Shaka Khan to go solo. We was fortunate there. When we signed George Benson, Benson was known as a guitarist. He was not known as a vocalist.
That's right.
But once we signed George Benson and put him in the studio with the right producer, what came out of that? This Masquerade.
Like I say, the people that you made famous, not that you worked with, that you made famous.
Well, we made famous. I put it like
Okay.
that because it
All
takes
right.
a team to do that.
Yeah, you're correct.
And, because you have to have a great support system to do that, you got to have people in promotion, which is the bread and butter of any record label. But you also have to have people in marketing. You have to have people in publicity. You have to have people in artist development.
Okay.
You have to have a distributor to distribute your music. So it takes a team to do that, Yeah, I was out in the forefront, but yes, I didn't do it by myself.
Okay. And I was at a music conference a couple of months ago, and I was shocked to find out that Luke Skywalker and the Two Live Crew, he used to be there, carry their bags.
Yeah.
It used to be the was Two Live Crew that
Two
was
Live Crew.
performing. And he was just like working behind the scene.
Right.
And then he did a show. He was there, a hype man. That's how he blew up. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Luke
Uncle
Records.
Luke?
Uncle
Uncle
Luke.
Luke.
Uncle Luke.
Uncle
man.
Luke.
Uncle Luke. He's a legend.
Yes, he is.
Not just in music, but also He does so many things in the community that people never know about.
Yeah.
Especially in that Miami area.
Yes.
You know, and that's what a lot of celebrities do, you know. Every great thing that a celebrity does, the public don't necessarily know about it. And they don't
That's
want
so
you to
true.
know about it.
That's true.
They do it
Only
from
the
their,
bad.
they do it from their heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with you being in promotions with Warner Brothers Records, you all crossed over with Madonna and Rod Stewart.
Yes.
Yeah, how was that, and some other artists as well?
Well, basically, with Rod Stewart was the first artist that we crossed over.
Okay.
And crossing over means that if you're a white artist and you're crossed over to a black audience and you're successful, you gain a whole new audience out there.
Okay, yeah.
If you're a black artist and you cross over to white radio, then you got a whole new audience there.
Just like Adele, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Just like Adele, she could be considered multi-format.
Okay.
Multicultural artist, absolutely. But in terms of Rod Stewart, it was such a great accomplishment for us because we were it was his first crossover record.
Okay.
The record, a lot of people in our generation will remember, it's called Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
oh,
great,
yeah, that was
great,
my jam.
Great record, man.
Yes, it
was
was.
a great record. And we were very successful crossing over a pop artist to black radio back then. It wasn't that popular to do. So you had to really have the real manpower
Okay.
and the tools to do that. It gave Rod Stewart a whole new audience. And from that it led to, we had signed the Isley Brothers. It led to Rod Stewart and Ronald Isley doing a duet together. Together. This So Hard of Mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what? I got a question, D.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
What did you have to see in an artist in order for you to believe that they might be a good potential candidate for a crossover?
Good question.
Well, basically, in order to be a successful crossover artist, you got to be successful in your own format.
Okay.
Just say, for instance, if you are a country and western artist, well, you got to prove yourself, prove that record is a genuine hit in the country and western format before the top 40 format would even consider it. You know what I mean? Just say, for instance, if you had just Justin Bieber, for instance, before black radio would even consider Justin Bieber to play their record, Justin Bieber has to, his record label has to make sure that his records reach top 5,
Okay.
number 1 before it's even considered for another format.
Okay.
Yeah. So Rod Stewart, for instance, of course, Rod Stewart was already established, but not in the black community. Once Rod Stewart record, Do You Think I'm Sexy, went top 5, you know, we just took the bull by the horn. Why wait till it go to number 1? Let's do it now.
Yeah, and I know with Madonna, I know a lot of her songs went to number 1 when she crossed over.
Well, Madonna started out in the black format.
Okay.
It was the reverse.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Madonna became famous through black radio.
She did.
Yes. And then she eventually crossed over to pop radio. Madonna had such a black sound.
Okay.
She had so much soul. That's what we call our blue-eyed soul sister.
Okay.
Madonna grew up with a lot of black musicians. She was the only white dancer in Avon Ailey dance troupe.
Yeah, we were saying earlier we didn't even know that.
Yeah. So also she was very good friend with Nile Rodgers, who was producer of Chic, that produced so many hit records. So basically, when Madonna music came out, you know, we didn't know she was white. You know, I mean, corporate America knew she was. I mean, the record label knew she was white, but the radio community didn't know because we didn't. We just said, "Hey, this is Madonna." We didn't put out any pictures of her.
Wow.
You know, that's what Motown used to have to do with their black artists when they wanted to cross them over to white radio. They wouldn't put the picture on the cover.
Okay.
They wouldn't put the picture on the covers. You know, so they felt like, well, times have changed, but they felt like, well, if pop radio knew that Diana Ross was black, they probably wouldn't play it.
Play the music.
You know, if they know that the Temptations or Smokey Robinson are black, they probably wouldn't play it. Now that they know that they're black, well, they still don't have to look at the picture. They're just playing the music.
Playing the music.
You know, so for Madonna, when we start working her records, you know, she had records like Holiday. Man, so many hits that she had.
Lucky Star.
Lucky Star. Oh, man, that's one of my favorite records. Lucky Star, absolutely. Yeah. Those records, you know, didn't have any boundaries.
Yeah.
Sounded
so
black,
true.
but she's a white artist. So how could, if we take Madonna number one, and she's a white artist, and black radio take her to number one, how are white stations going to refuse her?
Okay.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
They can't ignore her.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So I don't want to hog up all the questions. I got like 1,000,001 questions for you. I got other co-hosts that's here with me today. So do y'all have anything that y'all want to ask or add to Mr. Teddy?
I do have a question.
Sure.
When you talk about crossing over and R&B and rap being here to stay, what do you think the key component to longevity would be? Would it be genre mixing? Would you think that it's genre mixing or having the right team?
Well, it's a combination of all of the above. You know, first of all, you got to have good music. You got to have a good beat. You got to have good lyrics. You got to have good music. That's number one, because without that, you're not going anywhere. You know, number two, yes, you got to have a great team. You know, a lot of artists, what they do these days, you know, you run into people like, yeah, I got my own record label. So what? What you gonna do with it?
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody can have a record label.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, oh man, I just went in the studio. I got my own album. So what? You can cut an album in your bedroom now. You know, with the technology. But what you gonna do with it?
Yeah.
Who's gonna promote it? Who's gonna market it? Who's your publicist?
Okay.
How you gonna get it distributed? What kind of budget do you have to get this record played nationally?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't think of that. But I do have my label, you know. So you know, so yeah, you got to have a team, you know, because so many, you know, because I hear a lot of good music from a lot of independent artists, but they don't have no money to promote it. You know, they don't have a budget. You know, they don't know the business side of the business.
Right.
Right.
They know they can go into the studio and record a record, but what's the business? I ran into an artist, you know her, I'm not going to mention no name.
Okay.
Not going to mention no name. Great song. I'm getting ready to help promote it. Find out it hadn't even been published yet. There's no publishing in it yet. No.
So what do you mean by there's no publishing?
Well,
in
basically, no, the record hadn't been published with a publishing company.
Okay.
Such as BMI,
Right.
ASCAP, Warner Chappell. That's where you get paid.
Okay.
You know, that's how you get paid. So if you're out there trying to promote your record, and it sounds pretty good, people are going to research it and say, well, what publishing company is he with?
Okay.
Or she with? Oh, there's no publishing company. Okay.
But you know, Teddy, that information that you're giving out right now, a lot of people don't even know
Right.
that information, especially artists of today. You know, they're beginning to learn information like that when it's, I would like to say, quote unquote, too late.
Absolutely.
And, you know, after they've either ran into bankruptcy or financial situations, because from what I understand, you get so many points off per album. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, but yeah, yes, you're right. But when your publishing is where you really get paid.
Got it.
You know, because every time a radio station plays your record, they have to pay you,
That's right.
and they have to report what records they play to the publishing companies. When you sign with a record label, your hope is to become popular enough to have your record spread across the United States, so you're able to go on tour
Right.
to make some money. Because if you don't go on tour to make some money, you ain't going to make no money with your record label, because they don't put so much money into promoting and marketing and distributing and producing your record. You're in the hole.
Okay.
So now you have
All
to
right.
you
gotta
try
go
to
there.
go on tour just to make up for some of that. If
Right.
that's
So if
possible,
if the record starts selling, the record company starts to recoup their investment. However, unless you are a multi-platinum artist that's selling millions of records, you're not going to make no money with the record label.
Okay.
However, if you're successful and the record label is able to bring your music to the forefront and get it played across the country, then fortunate enough for you, you'll be able to go on tour.
Okay.
And you go on tour, you're going to make some money. And not only are you going to make some money on tour, but if you got 500 radio stations playing your record 20 times a day, every day, and they got to pay you every time they play it, that's where the money is.
Got it.
Coming from your publishing.
And see, I didn't even know that that the record companies, radio stations pay you.
Pay the artist. Well, they're not paying
pay
the
the
artist. They're not paying the artist. They're paying the publishing company.
Okay, I didn't even know
Right,
that.
and the publishing company is paying the artist.
Okay.
Each record that a radio station plays, they have to give the publishing company their music log.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
You know, so not only that, it's become a lot more easy to monitor what a radio station is playing anyway. You know, because everything now in major markets and in a lot of the secondary and medium-sized markets, records are monitored electronically.
Yeah.
You know, it's called BDS monitoring. So if your station is BDS monitored and you're playing a record 20 times a day or 100 times a week, it's automatically recorded. It's automatically reported. So it makes it a lot easier for an artist to get paid.
Okay.
Because along with it being monitored, there's also cross-reference with the radio station having to turn in their music log.
Okay. You need to do a workshop because this is like much needed information.
It is. It really is because, you know, what you were saying about the artists, they say that have a record and you're asking them, what about your publicist and your marketing and so forth? And I think perhaps a lot of artists just see the glitz and glamour of producing the record, or glitz and glamour of being on the stage.
Right.
And that's 10%. Would you agree? That's like 10% of the whole business. The other 90% is just what you mentioned.
It's business.
Yeah.
It's business. Because if your business is not in order, you're going to get screwed. Somebody's going to get paid.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get paid.
Right.
It may not be you.
Exactly.
It definitely won't be
Right.
somebody.
But somebody's going to get paid for that hit record.
Oh, let's go back to when you first signed or when you first met Prince. Well, I'm just keeping it Prince and Morris Day. And you heard their music.
Yeah.
Did you say to yourself, man, we can't play this song?
Well, you know, Prince just brought a brand new era to the company.
Okay.
Warner Brothers was always known to give an artist free range.
Okay.
We did not censor any music.
Wow.
We questioned it.
Right.
But we never told the artist what you can sing and what you can't.
Okay.
You know? And of course, it was a challenge, you know, but the first time I heard Prince music, we used to get, before records are even released, a couple of months before, we used to get what they call test pressings.
Okay.
It was an album with no label on it. You didn't know what it was or who it was. You just played it, and if you liked it, you would say, wow, we got something here.
Okay.
Oh, you know, you just kind of get your feedback. And me being young and aggressive, I couldn't wait to get those albums that didn't have no labels on them, because I would be the first person to say, hey, man, we got something here. Who is this?
Okay.
You know? And when I asked, who is this? They said, the artist's name is Prince. They said, well, what about him? He's 18. He wrote, produced, played all the instruments on the record. He did everything. And I'm like, wow. Even if you look on my Facebook page, I had Prince on his first promotional tour.
Okay.
Very first promotional tour. You know, his Prince here with the big afro. You know,
looking all innocent.
I
seen the picture.
Platforms.
This guy, you know, but, you know, he really was. But, you know, his first record was called Soft and Wet. And that was a little racy. I'm like, wow, can we get that played? Ooh, Lord.
Shut us down.
Hey, my engineer eyes got this.
Whoa, what is he talking about? This soft and wet. So, one thing just kind of led to another and another and another. And, Prince became the prince of the label. Prince became the prince of the universe.
Oh, yes, he did.
Yes,
he did.
He had an impact on so many artists and so many lives. So basically, once Prince came to the label, his first album went gold, second album went platinum, third album went double platinum. And at that point, he had carte blanche. He can do anything he wanted to do. He could say anything he wanted to say. He could bring any artist to the label that he wanted to bring. Because he had carte blanche. It's just like if you are a artist, if I'm a manager of 2 or 3 successful artists, well, the label is going to want me to bring them everything that I can get my hands on because they want to have first choice.
Yeah, he produced a lot of groups, and I think all of them had hit singles.
Absolutely. So as he became successful, he said, well, I want to introduce The Time. Oh, wow, man, that was so young, and those cats so energetic, and oh, man, it was so fresh working with those young people, After The Time, he said, hey, I got another person I want you to meet, Sheila E.
Wow.
Here comes Sheila E. Oh, yeah, I got someone else. I got 3 girls for you here.
Mary Jane, was it Mary
Vanity
Jane?
City.
Okay, Vanity. Okay.
All in lingerie.
Rolling them
Okay.
out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I got your attention,
That's
right?
when you should have called me.
Okay. I got to get that tour on the road here. Let's get this show on the road.
Yes.
Those girls need me.
Yeah, Nasty Girl was my favorite and still is my favorite song.
Yes, and that was another, so Prince had broken the barrier, so Nasty Girl was like a nursery rhyme at the time. But then came Madonna, and she had some pretty racy lyrics too, in her music, but Prince had already broken the barrier, so it's just when Madonna came along, of course there was a lot of controversy, but we've gone through it before, so we just overcame it.
Going through it again. Do you have a most memorable experience in your years of?
I have so many.
I'm sure.
Of course I have more memorable ones, but memorable experiences with Ashford and Simpson. Memorable experiences with George Benson. Memorable experiences with Miles Davis, David Sanborn, Bob James. Memorable experiences with Roger Troutman and Zap.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, it was devastating when he was killed.
Oh, yes.
By his brother. Other artists that I had great experience with, Earl Klugh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Who lives right here in the city. I had a great experience with Jasmine Guy.
Yeah, I was shocked to say that y'all worked with Jasmine Guy. I'm like, when did she start singing?
Well...
Okay.
She had a very successful acting career.
Well, yeah. Okay. All right. We'll leave it at that. Right.
But Jasmine is a great person. She's a great lady, man.
Okay.
She's a great lady.
Yeah, I remember, not to cut you off or anything, but I remember when me and my sister, we went to Morehouse to see John Legend. And before John Legend came on the stage, what's the guy's name that opened up for him? He writes a lot of music. Man, my mind just went blank.
What's he saying?
I
can't remember.
No, I cannot. Matter of fact, his wife was on a reality show here in Atlanta. I think of the name when we get off air.
You'll think of it.
And it's like he was up there performing. He had just started out. And everybody was like, we wish he'll get off the stage. But then it's like that following year, he just blew up.
Wow.
Yeah, he just blew up.
Yeah. So, a lot of times, you just don't make it on that first album. But see, back then, when a label was signing artists, you were signing for 3-4 albums. That means you're going to invest the time, the money, the promotion, the marketing into them. That means you had a real commitment. They don't do that now. A lot of these new artists right now, if you don't have your own money to go out there and promote yourself.
Yeah.
Because basically what most of the record labels are looking for is like Bring it to me on a silver platter. What have you done?
Right,
How many you sold?
Okay.
Who's playing the record?
Okay.
You know, and as that record is being monitored electronically, record labels are sitting there looking at, oh, who's that artist?
Okay.
Who's that artist?
All right.
They can tell.
Actually, you're right in what you're saying, because I remember a story that I read, and actually I saw a bio on, I believe it was LL Cool J, his record label. He had to do 10 albums first.
Absolutely.
He had to do 10, and then once he got out of that 10, he was able to get out of that contract. You're right, you don't see that anymore.
No, that's not going to happen anymore. You know, so if you are an independent artist and you got the time, you got the money, you got the music to go out there and promote yourself, the record label will find you.
Oh, okay.
They will find you.
All right. And you know, another thing that I noticed too, it's like back in the day when you heard someone's album, it's like they had maybe 10 songs on that album. Every song you heard was a hit. It sounded good.
Right.
And it's like now you listen to a CD, you got one or two that sounds good. And is it because the record label is pushing them to get their music out? Is that's why?
Well, not necessarily.
Or people just ain't got talent.
But that's the good thing about streaming music now.
Okay.
Because you can go to Apple Music and buy only the song you like.
Okay.
Right.
For 99 cents, $1.29. You don't have to buy the whole album if you don't like the whole album.
Okay.
You know, but the opposite used to happen to you. You used to go buy an album and there's only one good song on it.
Yeah.
You know? And you spend all of your money, you know, they got this hit record going on. And you got to have that album, and that album turned out to be a dud.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, you know, so now the good thing about it now is that you can go buy your music online and only buy the song that you want.
Yeah.
So if they come out with another record that you like, you can buy that one too.
Okay.
But you don't have to commit yourself to buying the entire
Because
album.
technology has changed the
Yeah,
game.
absolutely.
Right.
Because you remember back in the day when people used to have albums coming out, I mean, you just hear it all on the TV, on the radio, and everything. Everybody be hyped. You don't even see that anymore.
Oh, no.
Because of technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I still remember
Individual.
it was 1995. It was February, actually, when Mary J. Blige came out with My Life. I actually stood in line to get the cassette tape.
Wow.
My Life. People were standing in line to get that CD, the cassette tape.
Cassette.
Right.
Yeah, cassette tape.
Some folks don't even know.
Yeah, cassette tape, right? And we stood in line for this, for Mary J. Blige. I mean, it was all over TV. I remember being on BET. I remember her coming on. It was the MTV little stop-off show they came, and she was promoting it, you know. And I think going back to the statement you just made, Teddy, about the songs that you can get, if you go back to the company, when they push the single, they're pushing the single. So that's what people hear.
Yeah.
They hear the single.
Right.
But, you know, I remember back then when they would push more than just one single. Now, here's the next cut from whatever the artist's name is.
Right.
Here's the next cut. And so now, if that's in rotation, it's constantly being played.
Absolutely.
And if it got a catchy hook, you're going to start singing it while you're at work.
Absolutely.
Or while you're doing your chores around the house, you start singing it, and that's it. So now everybody want to hear that song. So now they had more than just one hit on that CD or on that album. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Because a lot of it has to do with the record label, too, with the A&R department. You know, because when I was at Warner Brothers, if an artist brought an album to us, and there was only 2 songs on that we liked, we say, hey, we take these 2, but you got to go back to the studio. This other garbage, you can keep it.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank
you
you.
got to
They
go
need to tell
back.
them that these days.
But you know, let me ask you a question. How have you seen the artists change? You know, we're coming out of an era of the Princes that played all of the different instruments, and Stevie Wonders that played the instruments that know music. That you hit a note on the keyboard, and they know what it is. That know music.
Right.
And we're now in a digital age where an artist could technically create music. Doesn't have to know a thing about music. Don't
Right.
even know where middle C is on the piano, but can create music or create a hit and make money off it. How do you see the artists themselves change in regard to their? Well, how do you see them change?
Well, basically, it goes back to technology. The technology meaning that you don't have to go pay a recording studio $300-400 an hour to record. They got music machines now, music technology now. You can go to a music store, buy you a little console that you can learn to play every instrument that a person would play in the studio with live musicians.
Yeah.
So, and it's making it easier and cheaper for artists to produce their own music. You know, a lot of the artists these days, you know, the generation we came up in, a lot of artists these days are a lot more smarter.
I think even Soulja Boy, a couple of his singles, I think he said he did that in his closet, in his bedroom.
That's what I'm saying, absolutely. And they're a lot more smarter now because they're knowing that they can go buy their own equipment and record their own music. Not only can they go buy and record their own music, but they're becoming more educated to say, look, I'm not going to fall into the trap of the old school artists. A lot of the old school artists, they didn't know nothing about publishing.
Yeah,
right.
All they wanted was a contract.
Yeah.
Give me a contract and a Cadillac. And
Not
I'm
reading
cool.
the contract.
And I'm just as cool as I can be. They didn't know nothing about the business side. You know, they thought the business side was recording an album and going on tour.
Yeah.
Ted, let me ask you something, and tell me your opinion on this. But couldn't you see that as not only a plus as for the artists as far as doing their own music, as far as doing the engineering and the producing and stuff like that, but could you see that also as a negative because they're not learning the business as far as the history of the business, how the pioneers came through and the steps that they made in the business. I mean, they seem, I guess from a business standpoint, it's kind of like, well, okay, I did my own publishing, I did my own engineering, I went in, I arranged my own stuff. Okay, so now I'm counting checks. And so I get it from that aspect. But I'm thinking they're not learning the history part. They're not learning the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they don't care about the history. They only care about the now. You know what I mean? They're concerned. They don't. A lot of them don't know the history of most of the artists that laid the groundwork for them to become savvy, business savvy.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
They know the mistakes that a lot of other artists made by not getting their music published or getting into bad contracts. Or when the record label would say, we spent $500,000 in the studio recording your album. What? I recorded this album in my bedroom here for $100. How you spend $500,000?
They could have went in my pocket.
Right. And by the time they keep adding on and adding on and adding on and adding on, man, they throw so many numbers at you.
Man, I can imagine.
It looked like Japanese mathematics. You can't comprehend it.
But Teddy, do you? How much of that do you attribute to the very brief tenure that some of the new day artists are experiencing?
Well, you're only good as your last record. So if your next record ain't good, it ain't society's fault. You just got to go back into the studio and do it again. But if you got good management, someone to help you and guide you along the way, you listen to an objective point of view. Because every artist that go into the studio, they think their music is the bomb.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They think it's the bomb.
Yeah.
If you went into the studio and recorded an album, you looking at me like, Teddy, what you think? What you think? Oh, yeah. What you think?
Right.
You don't want to. Do you really want to hear what I got to say?
Right.
You don't want to hear me say.
So, Teddy, let me ask you a question. So, do you think it's very important for us artists having longevity? Do you think it's important for them to be able to have the ability to reinvent themselves? I look at artists like Patti LaBelle that's been in the game so long that she was able over the decades, notice what I'm saying, decades to reinvent herself. Even where in her appearance, for someone to be, I don't want to say that age, but at her age, she still, there you go, seasoned. She still looks and she relates to the younger crowd, the younger listeners. So do you think that artists being able to reinvent themselves, is that tribute to part of longevity?
I think Patti reinvented herself with the Patty Pies last season.
That was it.
She definitely reinvented herself with the Patty Pies, man.
Yeah.
It took me, I couldn't get a Patty Pie until after the first of the year. Nobody had them. But but Patty didn't necessarily.
I'm a big Patty
right,
fan,
right.
and it's like now when she's on stage, I don't really hear. Maybe it's just me. I don't hear singing. I hear a bunch of yelling.
Yeah, and see, Patty didn't necessarily reinvent herself musically.
Okay.
She just got a loyal following.
Yes.
From years and years
Yeah.
and years. Of course, a few young people are going to like her because their mom and their dad, and a lot of them like old school music. A lot of young people like old school music. But you take artists like Patty, you got some of those old school artists out there that can tour successfully. But their music is not being played on the radio.
Yeah, that's true.
Only the old stuff on the old school radio stations.
Well, do you think that is because people have stayed true to themselves, and when they've stayed true to themselves, old school, there were standards? When you take a song like Let's Kiss and Say Goodbye compared to I Don't Bleep With You, standards.
Right. Well,
I mean, I know new day, new generation, but you still see the longevity with the old school artists compared to new school. And when I listen to it, I'm hearing true to self. They stayed true to self, and there were some set of standards that they held on to and never let go of.
So I think those lyrics came from the heart. It kind of goes back to the longevity thing. The lyrics, the music is coming from their soul. The music is coming from their heart. When we used to take the time to read the album jackets, and you read the song, and then you read the story behind it. Some of that stuff is deep. The word, you remember the words to the song. So there's depth. There's layers of depth there that we don't necessarily see today. So it goes back to the whole longevity.
When the last time you seen an album cover?
True.
When's
Yeah,
the last
that's,
time
no,
you seen
that's
an
true.
album? There's no liner notes to read.
Right.
You know.
But then it goes back to the question of longevity. Do we see these artists having that longevity because of those standards and so forth, having that longevity that the artists of yesteryear had?
Well, some of them will, some of them won't.
Like Lil Wayne, he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. You got artists like
Beyonce.
And
She's new
Jay-Z
school.
and Rihanna. You got a lot of artists that's going to have that longevity, but at the same time, you're still gonna have one hit wonders. You're gonna have some here today and gone tomorrow. So it's just a matter of again the direction and management and what their focus are.
That's a good way to put it.
You gotta, but a lot of these. A lot of the younger artists, not all of them, because a lot of them again are good businessmen and women. But still, you got a lot of the young ones out here that's shooting from the hip. They're just no manners
in the moment.
Oh yeah,
no courtesy. Still walking around gangster and so on and so on. I wouldn't associate myself with an artist like that. I would if they came to me. And if they listen to me and say, this is not what your image should be.
Okay.
If they wanted to listen to me, then I'd be happy to work with them. But if they still got that gangster mentality, I like my life.
I think some good examples of longevity and maturity are your Ice-T, your Ice Cube, your Will Smith. That kind of LL Cool J. That over the years, when they first started,
Will Smith good at acting,
right? But I'm saying, but
he had some hits too.
But even there, the longevity and knowing, when to transition from one
to
rap into the
right. So his longevity was transcending from music to movie.
Yeah, right. He figured that out.
LL Cool J has been transitioning from music to movies, host of the Grammys. So they have that longevity, but their music did play out. And a lot of artists, didn't want to adapt to, not just artists, but radio stations. Didn't want to adapt to hip hop music. But they had to realize that they wanted an audience, and if they wanted ratings, and they wanted the advertisers that appeal to the younger adults. That's what they had to do.
Okay.
You know, you gotta. It ain't just the music,
Right.
but if you're in the entertainment industry, you got to go with the
Yeah.
with whatever the trend is, and it is not just radio or music. It's sports.
Right.
Nike and Reeboks and all of those. They're following that trend. They ain't trying to keep up with me or you.
Yeah.
And I think
You
that's
know,
part of it. I
right.
think that's part of it, having the wisdom to know, okay, my time is up as a rapper, and having the wisdom and discernment to know what can I transition to
Right.
and still be relevant. So, like the ones I mentioned before, maybe their time was up in the music, but then they had the wisdom and the discernment to realize, okay, I need to
Yeah, they
transition
had good management.
to stay, yes.
You know, they
to stay
had good, not
relevant.
only had good management, they had good images.
Yeah.
And
No
some
scandals.
artists, Teddy, I would rather just listen to their old stuff. I don't want to
Absolutely.
listen to that stuff that they trying to make now and fail at it.
Right.
I want to remember that old good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, and then, you got a few artists that's standing the test of time. A good example of that is Charlie Wilson.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uncle Charlie, yes.
Uncle Charlie stood the test of time.
Oh yes.
Yes.
So he's an exception. Well, but also when you had artists like Prince, he stuck to his base. At the same time, he was stood the test of time without trying to transition into hip hop.
Right.
Okay.
And to be true to that, he was able to tour without new music.
Right.
All over the country, anywhere. If they say Prince was coming to town, he bid the Fox Theater Monday morning, tickets gonna sell in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're going in 10 minutes.
They go.
Sold out.
minutes they sold.
They go.
But the other
They
thing
go.
that's really successful, like you mentioned, when an artist had a new release coming out, you used to hear about it on TV and
yeah.
there and everywhere. But in the record labels would advertise the brand new Shaka Khan album in stores Thursday,
Oh, yeah.
But they don't have to do that anymore with social media. If Beyonce is getting ready to release an album, why has the record label got to spend $1 million in advertising when she got to put on her Twitter,
Yeah.
hey, I got a new
So-
album out in the morning.
Yeah.
It's so
10
Exactly
million
what
people,
she did.
Right,
Yeah.
10 million people
Smart.
buy it. Jay-Z gonna put out an album. They put the album out for the record label do. Because they can put it up for streaming and people can buy it in the morning. You don't have to wait and set it up and pre-advertise it and pre-market it like you used to. You got to do that with movies.
Right.
But Lady Gaga, she probably got 10 million followers. So she's going to put out an album. Watch the label go out and spend all that money to market when all she got to do is tweet it out and say, hey, I got a brand new album. It'll be out tomorrow.
Cut the middleman out.
Wow. So you've given us a lot of hits over the years, and I applaud you for it. But you're no longer in the music industry. Now
Right.
you do real estate now.
Right. Well, I still consult people
Okay.
in the music industry.
Okay.
I still work with a few artists. Still, some record labels still call me for consulting.
Okay.
So I'm still available for that.
All
But
right.
that's not my main focus right now. My main focus right now is
Loan
loan
modification.
modifications.
Okay. So explain to everybody what is loan modification that.
Well, basically,
don't know.
loan modifications. I'm just going to give you the short version of it because I know we're pressing for time. But loan modifications are designed to help homeowners save their homes. We're working with people that's 2 months behind, 4 months, 6, 8. Some of them are a year behind on their mortgage payments.
Okay.
And too many people are losing their homes because they don't know the right steps to save their home.
Okay.
The mortgage companies can be very ruthless.
Oh yes.
They can be very ruthless. They don't know you. You're a loan number. They love you when you're current, and they hate you when you're late.
It's one thing.
And the first thing people usually ask me when they call, I hate my mortgage company. Can you get me with another mortgage company? Well, all of them the same.
Okay. Yeah.
You behind. It doesn't matter who you with. They hate you. But to make a long story short,
Pay your bill.
They hate you.
they're calling you 50 times a day, But anyway, the people have to always remember, if your income has changed, so should your mortgage payments. Because if your income changes and your mortgage payment doesn't change, then you're not going to be able to afford your mortgage payment.
Okay.
Just to give you a few examples, if you had 2 incomes in your family and those 2 incomes been reduced to 1 income, you could be eligible for a loan modification. A lot of people that we work with were working full-time when they purchased their home. Now they retired or semi-retired. The income changed by 30-40%.
Okay.
They could be eligible for a loan modification. If you had someone that was contributing to the household expenses and you're no longer together, whether it's a divorce or separation or whether that person passed or whether you had a partner that was contributing, you could be eligible for a loan modification because that other income is not there anymore.
Okay.
So basically, people, again, the good thing about TLA is when we're doing the loan modification for a homeowner, we do all the work.
Okay.
And the bottom line for a loan modification is that when you're going through the process, it doesn't matter how many months you're behind. Even if you're in foreclosure, we start the modification review, your foreclosure is put on hold.
Okay.
But the good thing about it, you don't have to worry about making any more mortgage payments while you're going through the loan modification process. Once the loan is modified, you're not required to make up any back payments. It brings the loan current with a lower interest rate and a lower monthly payment. And that's really what people want to do, get off to a fresh start so they can concentrate on their families, their careers, the future, and not have all of that stress weighing them down about how am I going to catch up on all of these payments. The loan modification brings the loan current with a lower interest rate, lower monthly payment, so you can move forward and get off to a fresh start.
And credit's not an issue?
Credit's not an issue?
Oh, credit is not an issue, no.
Okay.
And that's the main thing that people always ask. The first thing they say, Teddy, my credit is not that good. I'm going to put it on the line for you. Well, that's not an issue. It doesn't matter if your credit is 500 or 800. You're not trying to get a new loan. You already got the loan. Your current loan is being modified based on your current income and not the income you were making when you purchased your home.
Okay.
So credit is really, really not an issue because, again, you already have the loan.
So how can they get in contact with you for more information?
Locally here, 404 area code, 842-4600. 404-842-4600. One last time, our phone number here at TLA Real Estate Consulting. We specialize in loan modifications and foreclosure prevention. Is 404-842-4600.
It sounds like a man that knows
Okay,
radio.
and before we go, you suggest doing the modification instead of doing the bankruptcy.
Right. Well, a lot of people file bankruptcy to save their home because they don't know that the modification should be their first option.
Okay.
And people should always call us prior to filing for bankruptcy because what bankruptcy do is put people in more debt than they were in before they started.
Okay.
And people don't know that. Just say if your budget was $2,500 a month and now you file bankruptcy, they're going to charge you a file for $600 a month extra just to be in bankruptcy. Plus, you got to continue making your mortgage payment.
Okay.
However, if you're in bankruptcy, we can still do the modification and you can come out of bankruptcy, eliminating those expensive attorney fees and court costs.
Okay.
So, but before you consider filing for bankruptcy, give us a call.
All right. Once again, that's TLA Real Estate Consulting, 44842-4600. Make sure you get them a call to get your real estate, what's the word I'm looking for?
Home loan
modified. That's what
Get
I'm
your
looking
loan
for,
modification.
Okay. And thank you all for tuning in to the D Here Radio Show. Every Saturday night from 7 to 8 p.m. I want to thank my co-hosts for coming out, helping me. They had my back tonight. Paula, Mark, and Cinda, thank you all so much for coming out.
You're welcome.
Teddy, you got to come back. Too much knowledge.
Just
you got to
dropping
come
some
back.
knowledge,
Just say the word.
Part
All
two.
right.
All right. Next time we just start at 7 and just go until.
Oh, yeah. I'll be ready.
Sound like a plan.
All right. So thank you
Dee.
all for tuning in to the D Here Radio Show.
Beat Break Radio FM, Atlanta's new underground station. Online 24/7 at BeatBreakRadioFM.com.
Hi, this is Clifford English, your host and producer of The Gospel Train. Join me every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. right here on Beat Break 87 FM radio. You will be encouraged, you will be equipped, you will be educated, you will be entertained, all while hearing the best in gospel music. Don't miss your connection with The Gospel Train right here on Beat Break 87 FM radio. BeatBreakRadioFM.com.
Hey world, it's your man Precise, and I have great news. The Precise Music app is finally available for your iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry through Amazon and other app stores. That's Precise Music. Music is spelled with a Z. Go get it for all things Precise. Powered by BlackVibes.com.
I tried to put it off, but I can't. It's on me. Tried to blame the other man, but I can't. It's on me.
Stay in tune. That's Precise Music. Music is spelled with a Z.
The best part of waking up isn't Folgers. It's the Beat Break Morning Show. Start your morning off right with Sean Garvey and the crew on BeatBreakRadioFM.com and HomeTeamRadio.com.